Alright guys, here's a quick video to show you how you can diagnose a failed cell switch. So this is an RV here that has a small Dometic furnace, and what's going on, the furnace will kick on, or at least try to kick on, and it'll just run for a few seconds, like 15 seconds, and shut off. It will not last at all. And that just tells me that there's an issue either with the cell switch, which in this case is right here, or the limit switch, which is way in the back in this model. I can't show you because it's way back in there, inside this hole, just right above the exhaust, way in the back. So basically that's just a safety check that the board goes through when it starts. When you first turn the furnace on from the inside, of course the switch has to be on. I have it reset here, I have it off so I can control it. It goes through, the board will go through a series. First it'll send power straight to the motor to start to blow some air. And the cell switch, what that does, it corroborates that the motor is rotating and producing airflow. So if the cell switch gets stuck, which in this case it did, it's either stuck open or stuck closed, the board will not tell if the motor's spinning or not, because the cell switch is just a little flap. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me open up this bag here. This is what it looks like. All the cell switch does is it is open, and when the motor starts to rotate, it closes that contact. So the little air, that little bit of air will move this paddle and close the switch. So when it closes contact through these two wires, the two blue wires, it's telling the board, okay, the motor is rotating, you can go ahead and ignite. Okay? The other issue with this limit switch back there is just a high temperature switch, like a thermostat. If it gets too hot, it pops open and will not allow this to run, to ignite and let gas flow go through the system. So that's why it doesn't ignite. So when it fails within the first few seconds, it's telling me there's either an issue with the airflow, could be a bad motor that's slowly dying and not rotating fast enough. It could be the cell switch, it could be that limit switch way in the back. But the most likely issue, most likely scenario, most RVs, is cell switch. So what you do here to test it, if you have just a fuse, you don't need any specific tools. What you can do is just turn the furnace on, leave this open. So what we're doing is acting like the cell switch is open, and when the motor starts to rotate, you connect these wires just to close contact. You can use a jumper wire, you don't have to use a fuse, anything will do. Don't leave it connected when you turn it on, because the board's going to think, hey, the cell switch is stuck and it won't ignite. So leave one disconnected, turn it on, and connect it. Let me show you. As you saw, the motor started, so after a second or two, I connected that to close contact, so we're mimicking a cell switch, and it should go through the process, if this is the issue, to go ahead and ignite. There we go, we got flame. Let me shut it off so it doesn't heat up. And that's it. That's how you can tell if it's a cell switch issue right there. Another way you can tell, that's without tools, but what you could do is just take a multimeter, put it into the continuity testing, which is this function here that beeps when you touch the probes, and just touch the cell switch, the two contacts. Of course, unplug it because sometimes the board interferes with it and it'll beep. But just test this for continuity, run this, and if it beeps after you start it, then it's working. If it doesn't, then that's the issue. And if it flutters on, off, the beep comes and goes, that's a faulty cell switch, and just swap that out. To test the limit switch, you do the same thing. Way in the back, take this cover off. You just want to test both sides to make sure that it does beep, which shows that it's good, it's closed and ready to run. If it doesn't beep, fails limit switch, you just swap that out. And it's that easy. So this is just a trick to determine how to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and swap this cell switch out, which is super easy in this case. It's mounted onto this little bracket, so as soon as I remove that screw, I can bring it out and then undo these two top screws to remove that cell switch. There we go. So in this case, there's just a few hairs here that are in the way that could be interfering with how it moves. But we'll go ahead and swap this. It is kind of old, and just put a brand new cell switch on it. So for that, two screws are holding the cell switch to the bracket. We'll throw the new one on and put it back together, and we will test it and make sure it's all good. All right, new cell switch is on the bracket. We'll go ahead and pop this in there. There we go. Lock the bracket in place. I just like to rotate it, make sure it is good and not touching anything. Yeah, it's free. So now we can go ahead and plug this in. It doesn't matter how you plug this in as long as you have the connector on right. This is a little too loose. Let me fix that. All right, new cell switch is on. Let's test it. Alright, it is staying on, so we are good. I will go ahead and turn the thermostat off on the inside to let it go through its cool down process, which is about 2 minutes of the fan running without gas, so that it can actually cool the whole core down. So I'll let it do that, and then I'll put it back in the hole. So hope that helps. Have a good day.